Welcome to the 2015 Jewish Communities Law Enforcement Appreciation Program.
On guard, forward, on, your left, 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 right a low, right a low, right a left, your left, your left, your left, march time, march. On guard, halt. Left, peace. On guard, post, colors. Your left, your left, your left, your left. On guard, halt. Detail, present, hum.
The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Chief Bob Zimmerman.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Detail, order, hum. On guard, left, peace. Forward, on. Your left, your left, your left, your left, your left, right. Your left, your left, your left, your left, your left, right. Your left.
Thank you. Be seated. I'd like to thank all the sponsors of today's program. And during the breakfast, after everyone has got their food and seated, they'll have a few moments to address everyone. The South Jersey Men's Club president I'd like to introduce is Don Weisenstein. Don, stand please. The JCRC of Southern New Jersey, President Jonathan Korn, and Executive Director David Snyder. President of Shamrim, which is the Organization of Jews in Public Service, is Howard Lebowski. Howard. The Anti-Defamation League, Executive Director Nancy Barron-Bear. Nancy. Representing the Camden County Sheriff Department, Under Sheriff Willie Fontanez. And I'm very pleased to announce that we have two new sponsors, the Burlington County Detectives Association, President Stuart Holloway, and the Camden County Detectives Association, President James Ford. Gentlemen, thank you. On the committee that decided on the awardees and other details, representing past honorees was Warden David Owens. David, thank you. I'd like to give special thanks to the South Jersey Men's Club who prepared the room and the food. Gentlemen, thank you. And I am honored, very honored, to have in the room several members of the law enforcement community who were the special awardees in years past. Harry Earl, stand please. Michael Cantler. Mike. Sean Dalton. Guy Still. David Owens. And our very first awardee in 1996, please stand, Nick Matteo. Now, it's almost certain that I will miss some people. In this room, half of you would be the, how do we say it, the special person at an event. So let me know during the meal if you are here and should be recognized. But I'd like to point out the prosecutors. Camden County Prosecutor Mary Colanillo. Burlington County Prosecutor Bob Bernardi. Gloucester County Prosecutor Sean Dalton. And Salem County Prosecutor, I have to call you Jiggs, I'm sorry. Jiggs, John Lenahan. Now, please note that for security reasons concerning ongoing operations, the first award, and only for the first award, no pictures may be disseminated publicly. Right? After that, it's for anyone else is fine. I'd like to introduce, and it's my pleasure to do this for a friend and a man of great integrity, a man who was commander of the New Jersey Jewish War Veterans and was also part of the State Department's dream team to help reshape government in Iraq. My friend and colleague, Colonel Nelson Melitz. Nelson?
Don't go anywhere, Mike. Yeah. Most of you know Mike Perloff. Yeah, that might be good or bad. I'm not so sure sometimes. But most of the time, it's really good. He's a friend of mine, like he said. I'm a friend of his. And without Mike Perloff, this event would not have taken place. Year after year after year, he's in contact with so many police officials. And I just wanted to give him a round of applause up front because we're recognizing everybody else. Let's please join me in a round of applause for Mike Perloff. Thank you, Mike. As Mike said, my name is Nelson Melitz. I'm a retired Air Force colonel, and maybe that's one of the reasons they selected me to be the MC today. For those of you that have been here in previous years, you know that Bill Flesher was the MC. Well, a couple of weeks ago, Bill said he has a contract in Turkey. Should I believe that or not? And he couldn't be MC today. Well, let me put it this way. I would have said Hawaii or someplace decent instead of Turkey. Well, Turkey's not bad, but sometimes not the greatest place. So what they did, without me knowing, is they put together a search committee to find somebody else that could be MC. Some of the requirements on the search committee: be taller than Bill, be handsome, more than Bill, be smarter than Bill, and have better hair than Bill. Well, they put that out among the New Jersey people, and about 20 or 30,000 people responded that they meet the qualifications. So he's not a rare individual, frankly, but he is a fantastic individual. With 30,000 people, or whatever the large number was that responded, they turned it over to Mike, because Mike is actually the one that actually gets things done. And it turned out, as of last Sunday, 2 candidates were here for the MC job. Ed Silver and myself, and Ed Silver paid for my breakfast, so that's why I'm here. And it's my pleasure, frankly. With that said, the vision behind the Law Enforcement Appreciation Breakfast is just like the name says. We don't spend enough time saying to the police officers, firefighters, the first responders, that we appreciate you, more so than you believe. Just look around at what's happening in the world, and you're the first people that respond to us, help us in the Jewish community. You're the people that we really rely on to actually have the support that we have every day, and we want to say thank you. And that's the vision behind this appreciation breakfast. With that said, I know you want to go to breakfast. We're holding you up right now, but I have to make a couple of administrative announcements. The 50-50 that many of you have already bought tickets for is actually the money's going to the Hero Scholarship Fund. It's also going to the Goodwin Holocaust Educational Center. So please support that as much as you possibly can. It's my privilege right now to call up Rabbi Larry Cernowitz, Larry Cernowitz is actually the New Jersey State Chaplaincy. He's in the program that you see by the sweater that he was wearing earlier today. I don't know if he still has it on. He's very proud of that position. Rabbi Cernowitz.
Thank you, Nelson and Mike, for putting this together. I'm here with Rabbi Ephraim Epstein, who sits with me as well, who is also serving the Cherry Hill Police Department as a chaplain, and we're honored to serve on behalf of Chief Monahan as well as those who are here today from the Cherry Hill Police Department. We're honored to serve with you. Recently, Les Neary, who is president of the Fraternal Order of Police from the Pennsylvania State Lodge, wrote these words this past January. As police officers, we know that we can never predict what will happen when we put on our uniform each day. The simple fact was made very apparent with the brutal execution of 2 New York City police officers recently. It was a scene that hit close to home for Pennsylvanians as well as New Jerseyans, who continue to mourn the death and injury of our officers recently attacked at their own barracks in Blooming Grove. Sadly, we are reminded again of the evil that exists in our world through events like these. Now more than ever, we need to rally around our brave men and women in uniform. It's the job of all police officers to rush into danger, to help those in need, regardless of personal risk, and they fully accept that risk every day. They face the worst criminals imaginable, and all too often, those criminals use violence against police officers. Nationally, at this time in January, the number has risen. Nationally, 114 police officers have been killed in the line of duty this last year alone. 4 right here in Pennsylvania. There has been also 4 here in New Jersey. Each of these courageous officers from Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey took a solemn oath to protect and serve their fellow citizens. An oath they honored by giving their last full measure of devotion to fulfill it. Let us always remember our fallen brothers and sisters as heroic and humble public servants who laid down their lives to serve and protect us all. These words from Les Neary apply to all those in law enforcement that serve the residents of the state of New Jersey. And on behalf of all these residents that don't always express their appreciation, let me extend a thank you to each and every one of you and to your departments. The concept of sacrifice is one in which many in our country truly don't understand. Most Americans wake up in the morning, go to work, and don't think twice about their own security. Without thinking, we leave it up to those in law enforcement to do the thinking for us. Each day, you get up in the morning, or later in the day for those in the night shift, ready to protect and serve the residents of our communities. Each day, you never know what might happen and what you'll have to face in the line of duty. For your dedication in putting your lives on the line, we thank you for all that you do. The concept of sacrifice is a complicated one. However, the Hebrew word for sacrifice, which is korban, puts perspective on it for me. In biblical times, the Israelites would make a sacrifice upon the altar. The concept was how one could get closer to God. Therefore, the word for sacrifice doesn't really mean sacrifice, but means to draw close. When we sacrifice for others, we draw closer to those we care about and those we serve. For most Americans, we sacrifice for our families, for our spouse, for our children. But for those in law enforcement who see things most Americans never see, you sacrifice for us as well. And for that, we're truly grateful. Lieutenant Dan Marco, a retired police lieutenant and SWAT commander, after 33 years, writes, "No police officer ever leaves home at night thinking, 'Tonight I'm going to get killed in the line of duty.' Yet the memorial wall is filled with the names of thousands of officers who did leave home, never to return. What would they say if they were allowed one opportunity to send a short note to the significant people in their lives?" This past Police Memorial Day, he tried to put himself in the shoes of a fallen officer and construct the words for those left behind after their tragic and sudden exodus. This poem is dedicated to the memory of our fallen brothers and sisters. To my partner, you did all that you could, I fell and you stood. You know sadness was never my style. Those were the cards that we drew. Nothing else more to do, except remember me, friend, with a smile. To my spouse, don't think me gone, but away, though I wish I could stay. I'm not there, but our love did not end. We had faith, we had love, sure as God is above. I feel your love from here that you send. To my children, I know for you it's hard to be alone in the yard, in that place where we laughed and we played. My girl, my boy, know you still give me joy. Live your life as I did, unafraid. To officers left behind, each day you hit the street to cover your beat. Prepare for the dangers you face. Train hard, wear your vest. You'll be put to the test, each day with your family embrace. And to all, I seem gone from you now, but I know that somehow we will reunite in another place. For the good they die young, is a song often sung. But this verse is flawed on its face. You see, the good don't die young, but instead they live on, in memories, in many a heart. The good that you do does not die when you do. For the good, death's not an end, but a start. In this last year already, in the state of New Jersey, as well as around the country, many officers have already died in the line of duty. We want to take a moment of silence for all of our fallen officers. And if there's a name that any department wants to offer right now that we remember, please feel free to offer that name at this time. We know those names are in our hearts. We take a moment of silence. And to all our law enforcement officials, this is for you. Dear God, whose great power and eternal wisdom embraces the universe, watch over all policemen and women and law enforcement officers. Protect them from harm in the performance of their duty to stop crime and violence. We pray, help them keep our streets and homes safe day and night. We recommend them to your loving care because their duty is dangerous in the cause of freedom and of justice. Grant them your unending strength and courage in their daily assignments. Dear God, protect these brave men and women. Unite them safely with their families after their duty has ended. And let us say, Amen. On behalf of Temple Emmanuel, as one of the rabbis here, we welcome you this morning to our law enforcement breakfast, and we thank you for every day for the sacrifice you make for the residents of these counties and for the state of New Jersey. Thank you very much.
It's now my privilege to introduce Rabbi Louis Aron, the community chaplain and a good friend. Rabbi.
Well, good morning, and thank you for being here. And once again, on behalf of everyone in our community, we want to thank you so very much for all that you do. What I was asked to do is offer something called a Devar Torah, and that is a brief teaching moment based on a passage in Scripture or in the tradition that may give us a moment to think and to ponder and get hopefully a little bit of wisdom. So let me give you the passage, and then I'm going to talk about it very briefly. It is from Psalm 127, verse 1. Shir Hamalot L'Shlomo. Im Adonai lo yivne bayit, shav almol bonav. Ve'im Adonai lo yishmarir, shav shakad shomer. And for those of you whose Hebrew isn't up to snuff, unless the Eternal builds a house, those who build it labor in vain. Unless the Eternal guards the city, the guard keeps watch in vain. Now, the vague, simple meaning of this may be that simple piety that all depends on God's grace. But the interpretive tradition doesn't let us go so easily and sort of flips the meaning around in a way that is reminiscent of the statement attributed to Abraham Lincoln, which is, do not ask if God's on our side, ask if we are on God's side. So that this verse, unless the Eternal guards the city, the guard keeps it in vain, has been addressed to all those who have public responsibility for maintaining the strength and the security, the well-being of the society. Sometimes to the king, the government, sometimes specifically to Solomon, whose wisdom always wasn't manifest in his rule over ancient Israel. Sometimes our sages applied it to themselves and said that they have to do their job correctly in teaching values and administrating the concerns of the city. And sometimes it's applied to all of us who have taken upon ourselves the responsibility to serve, to protect, to lead, to guide, to do what we ought to do. It's not so much that we depend on God's grace, they teach us. It's that God's presence depends on our wisdom, our skill, our understanding of the human heart, our ability to balance with wisdom the rights and the needs of all people, our ability to be humble, to be self-critical, to be self-aware, to be honest to ourselves, to take pride in what we do, but not live on our ego, to do all those things that we need to do to manifest the divine in our life. And if we do that in our daily jobs, and particularly jobs as important as everyone here has, this true verse becomes true. Unless the Eternal guards the city, the guard keeps it in vain. But our sages tell us, unless we keep the Eternal in our heart, and let the Eternal guard watch our lives, and let the Eternal Spirit flow through our deeds, that city won't be watched, nor will our soul. May we always have the strength and the wisdom and the understanding to take those high values that we support, that we believe in, and make them manifest in what we do today, tomorrow, and every day. And then we will all be safe, we will all be protected, we will all be loved, and we'll all be strong. Amen. I would like to call Rabbi Gary Gantz up to do the most important, and that is say the blessing before eating.
Shalom, everyone, and good morning. The underlying theme this morning is not to take anything for granted. Not to take for granted the hard work of our brothers and sisters, our desires for your security and safety and for those you serve, but also not to take for granted our obligations and how we serve the God who protects us. I'm going to offer on our behalves the traditional prayer for food and for sustenance, security and safety, and then there will be instructions on how to proceed to the tables. Blessed are you, O Lord, our God, sovereign of the universe, who brings forth bread, security, safety, and nourishment to our lives. And we say, Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. B'tei avon, bon appetit.
I am the Regional Director of the Anti-Defamation League. With me today in the back, if they'd raise their hands, Robin Burstein, our Associate Director, Chris McGarrix, our Investigative Researcher. For those of you who don't know who we are a civil rights and human relations organization. We have been around for over 100 years, and our mission is to provide and secure justice for all. So why are we here this morning with you in law enforcement, and what can we do to help you? First of all, we are a respected, non-governmental authority in the United States on hate crimes, on extremism, on domestic and international terrorism. Our Center on Extremism investigates and monitors white supremacy, anti-government extremists, homegrown Islamic terrorists, and many other extreme and fringe movements in our country. And then we put together reports, and we make those reports available for you. Some of them are on your table, a smattering, but if you go to our website at www.adl.org, you will find a treasure trove of information for law enforcement. Hate crimes. We have been a pioneer in the fight against hate crimes. We provided the basic draft statute that has been adopted in 45 states in the District of Columbia. We chaired the coalition of over 200 organizations that worked almost 14 years to pass the national Matthew Shepard, James Byrd Hate Crimes Prevention Act. And our partnership with you, finally. We provide you with actionable alerts, information, and assistance. Last year alone, we provided over 450 assists to law enforcement. We are the largest NGO trainer of law enforcement in the United States. We have trainings that we can arrange for your department. We have trainings that individuals can attend, including our famous ADL Advanced Training School in DC. Last, we deliver free, and I just want to repeat the word free, customized trainings for your department. We do it for federal, state, and local law enforcement each year on the topics that I already mentioned. So in closing, it's our distinct pleasure to be here today, to be here with the honorees, their families, with the departments that are around the table. We thank everyone for being here, and we hope we'll see you again next year.
Thank you very much. I have to go back to the little kids walking around here with the cards. Wasn't that a pleasure to see some little kids enthusiastic about law enforcement? And that's the kind of thing we're, thank you. Let's continue with the presentations. I know you're all anxious to eat your food. Please go ahead and eat your food as well as listen to the great speakers we have. It's my pleasure to introduce the 2014 honoree from Gloucester Township, Chief Harry Earl, who will make a few remarks for us. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone, and it's certainly an honor to be here today as the past recipient from last year. And I'm here to make a few remarks on all the past recipients that have been so thankful for the award that they received from the South Jersey Men's Club. And I think that as we come together, and I could just say that the award and the celebration that we have today is so important because it brings all of us together, really benefits two incredible causes that we've heard this morning. And I think most importantly, though, brings us together from 4 different counties. And that is really remarkable that we have 4 counties of law enforcement in this room. And I think that's probably the most successful portion of this program because it's so important. And when you look at the mission statement that the gentleman mentioned this morning, and you read it and it says, promoting community relations and fostering an atmosphere of respect for individuals, no matter their religion, race, or ethnic background. That is the mission of this morning, and we've done that by bringing 4 different counties together. So on behalf of those award recipients, I congratulate them that are here today. Of course, Chief Wagner, Sergeant Fine, Chief Winters, and the Camden County Police Department Operations Unit. I hope you enjoy the morning, and congratulations for your celebration. Thank you.
Thank you. Now's my opportunity to speak as a representative of the Jewish War veterans. I not only was the state commander, as Mike introduced me at the beginning of this session, but I'm also the outreach coordinator for the Jewish War Veterans. I had an opportunity to speak to our national commander yesterday, Maxwell Cologne. Maxwell Cologne, who is a retired National Guard colonel from the New York National Guard, also a retired captain from Rikers Guard Services. He asked me to express his thank you to all the law enforcement people in this room, as well as all law enforcement people throughout the United States. On a personal note, we need to do this more often. We need to be outreach to you. The Jewish War Veterans represents millions of Jewish men and women who have served in the military since the beginning of this great country. We currently have approximately 50,000 members and increasing because of what's happening in Afghanistan, Iraq, and 25 other peace or war operations throughout the world. My words and the words of the National Commander are, we have your back. If you need us, we're here for you. And we could even say that for the other veteran services organizations, but primarily for the Jewish War Veterans, we're here for you. Even with the bad publicity some people have received in the law enforcement, we have your backs. Thank you very much. Our next group of speakers is going to be introduced by Bob Greenberg, and it's concerning the Maccabi Games that took place this summer. Bob?
Good morning. Most of you recognize me as the former president of South Jersey Men's Club, and I've been to every one of these since its inception, and it gets better every year. And I thank you all for attending. This past summer, we had one of the largest athletic operations in this area called the Maccabi Games. We had some 5,000 people involved, including participants, attendees, and officials and volunteers. I would like to call up a group of people who were instrumental in the Maccabi Games. I was a co-chair of the security committee. I would like to call up Rob Kiwi, who was games director, Mark Dannenbaum, who was the games chair, Les Cohn, who is the executive director of the JCC, Mitch Medoff, who was security for the JCC, and Dave Snyder, who is my co-chair on the security committee. First of all, I'd like to give you to Rob Kiwi, who has some words he'd like to say.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here this morning, and again, I just want to thank everybody for what you guys do every single day. On behalf of the JCC Maccabi Games, which, as you can imagine, was a huge undertaking for us in our community and our JCC, and I just want to share real quick. We started our planning probably about 18 months before the games were going on, and in our minds, a lot of logistics to handle between athletics, security, transportation, medical, feeding all the kids, making sure that they have a good time during the day, have a good time at night. And the games have been going on for over 30 years, and I mean, I've been to a number of games myself, and I can just happily share or proudly share with you that Cherry Hill is seen as a extremely organized community. They still talk about our games from back in 1999, but I will tell you that security blew everybody away, no pun intended, this year with the games, and it's a way to provide the security that we did in a non-threatening way and in a way that the kids feel good about being here, the spectators feel good about being here. You can only imagine 1,200 Jewish kids coming to our community along with spectators and parents, the enormity of that situation in our community, and it was, again, a huge undertaking. And thankfully, about 16 months before the games happened, I actually received a phone call from Fred Lang, who said he was assigned to our event. So it took a huge load off of our minds because somebody like Fred, in charge of the event, from his perspective, just really made things very, very good for us. And I would just quickly share with you that, again, a tribute to everybody in this room, but at one point, just because of the way this community is set up and the way that our games were set up as far as locations, we thought it would be a little bit of a challenge to have the different communities, the different townships, the different counties involved, and Fred Lang and Lance, to their credit, pulled it all together, and their leadership was actually absolutely instrumental in making sure that our games were a success, and they were in fact a huge success. One last quick point, Lance Klein, who was involved with us also from the beginning. A lot of the people in our steering committee and our membership actually thought Lance Klein was Jewish. Today, he's here in a suit. We have rabbis in the room. We could actually have Lance's bar mitzvah this morning. Seriously, thank you guys very, very much.
So I'll reiterate what Rob said as well. We're just very grateful to all of you, and wanted to call up Lance and Fred to honor them for the service that they've given and everything that they've done for the JCC and the Maccabi event.
You're not Jewish?
So I'll just read the inscription. So to Lance and Fred, with sincere appreciation for the tireless efforts and endless hours of planning and preparation to ensure the safety and security of all athletes, coaches, and spectators in the 2014 JCC Maccabi Games, your exemplary leadership of the law enforcement professionals and security volunteers allowed everyone to feel safe and enjoy this JCC Maccabi experience. Once again, thank you very much again for everything you did.
The Maccabi Games, I was one of the guards at one of the high schools. That was really a detailed, complicated plan they had to put together, and it did go off fantastic. It was really a great situation. Okay, now it's an opportunity for us to hear our keynote speaker, and I have a brief bio. Actually, it's briefer than he expects probably because I cut it down a few paragraphs. Fantastic. Paul J. Fishman has a fantastic background. Paul J. Fishman is responsible for overseeing all federal criminal investigations and the litigation of all civil matters in New Jersey in which the federal government has an interest. In addition to his service as U.S. Attorney, Mr. Fishman served as a member of the Attorney General's Advisory Committee of the United States Attorneys. The committee represents the voice of the United States Attorneys and provides advice and counsel to the Attorney Generals on policy, management, and operational issues affecting the offices of the United States of America attorneys across the country. He was a senior advisor to the Attorney General and Deputy Attorney General of the United States on a variety of law enforcement policies, litigations, national security, and international matters, as well as on specific investigations and prosecutions. It's my privilege to introduce Paul Fishman.
Good morning. Oh, that was pathetic. Good morning. Okay, much better. Thank you very much for that introduction. It wasn't that short. It could have been longer. I would have been okay. My mother would have liked that. In any event, I want to thank you all for including me in your breakfast this morning. It's a particular honor and a privilege for me to be with law enforcement really anywhere in New Jersey, but particularly in South Jersey, and I'll talk a little bit about that, because we're doing some, I think, remarkable work down here with many of the people in this room. I will say this, I have been the United States Attorney now for 5.5 years next week. I have spoken in about 24 mosques, 1 Sikh temple, 2 Hindu temples, in the last 4 months alone, 3 Black Baptist churches, including, by the way, from the pulpit of the First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens in Somerset, which has about 6,000 or 7,000 members, on a Sunday morning, and with a 5-piece funk band behind me. I spoke last year or the year before at Police Week in Washington at the Police Officers Memorial as a guest of the Emerald Society. Yes, the Emerald Society. I'm kind of astonished to say that in the 5.5 years I've been in the United States, this is the first time, literally the first time,
except for the eulogy that I delivered at my mother's funeral, that I have been invited to speak in a synagogue. I don't really understand that. Maybe it's because people think I go all the time, but the truth is, if you're in law enforcement in New Jersey, you go to Mass way more than you go to Temple. It's particularly resonant for me to be here because my mother, may she rest in peace, spent the last decade of her career as the head of public relations and communications for the JCC of Bergen County. So I feel very much at home and grateful to be in a vibrant home of Jewish culture, and I'm grateful for the invitation. I will say I am also happy that you're compensating a little bit because not only am I on the program with not one, not two, but 3 rabbis. And 3 rabbis is better than 1 rabbi. So thank you for that.
Now there's 4 rabbis.
Now, I'm sorry, 4?
There's 4 rabbis.
Okay, excellent. 4, excellent. And by the way, not one of them taller than me, which is very important. And I note, and for those of you who think this is an aberration, my very close friend Loretta Lynch, who is probably going to be confirmed as the Attorney General in the next couple of weeks, for the first time in American history, I will be taller than the Attorney General of the United States, and I'm very excited about that. Now, when I speak at events like this, I always attempt to weave something about all the honorees somewhere in my speech, and I will do that in a few minutes for Chief Wachter and Chief Winters and Sergeant Fine and everybody from the Camden County Police Department. Your time will come in a minute. I won't ignore you. So, Scotty, stay awake till the end of my speech. But for me today, I'm going to stop right here and say thank you to the non-Jewish Lance Klein and Fred Lang. By the way, Lance also my size. Very excited about that. Anybody who makes it safe for Jews to do more sports, okay in my book. And for those of you who weren't listening, I have an 11-year-old and a 13-year-old son, both of whom play travel baseball. Moderately well. Neither one of them will get a scholarship for this, but they both play travel baseball. We watched the movie Airplane relatively recently. Everybody remember the movie Airplane? There's a great moment in the movie Airplane where one of the passengers says to the stewardess, "Do you have something lighter to read?" And she hands him a book called Great Jewish American Sports Heroes. But I hope you heard in the introduction of the 2 officers, 1,200 Jewish kids playing sports. We like that. So thank you for making that event a very safe one. But I'm also delighted to be here, as I said, not just because it's an event sponsored by a variety of Jewish organizations and at the Temple, but because I am at a breakfast to celebrate the work of my colleagues in law enforcement. You probably couldn't get this entirely from the introduction because he didn't do it quite chronologically. I've been out of law school for 33 years. I have spent almost 21 of those years in public service. 1 year as a federal law clerk for a judge across the river in Philadelphia, and for 19 years, I have been proud to tell people that I work for the United States Department of Justice. And I can tell you that it never gets old to stand up anywhere and say, "My name is Paul Fishman, and I represent the United States." That's an unbelievable honor and an unbelievable privilege. And you all know there is no greater honor than the opportunity to serve our country and our community. But while what I do is satisfying, intellectually interesting, rewarding, emotionally satisfying, and often just plain fun, it's not dangerous and it's not scary. I don't get up in the morning and strap a gun to my ankle and put on a bulletproof vest. I never put my body through the grueling training that lots of you in the room have had to go through to get on the job and to save lives. I've never been involved in a high-speed car chase with a dangerous felon. I've never had to run into a burning building to save somebody. And I've never pulled over and approached a car with tinted windows at 3 o'clock in the morning, not knowing what's behind that glass and whether there's something pointing at me. To do that, to be willing to do that, to ask, to choose to do that, that requires a special kind of dedication and commitment. It means making a choice. Sometimes it's just a gut instinct to put the safety and the welfare of other people in front of your own. That kind of public service demands the sacrifice of time, compensation, and the companionship of your family and your friends. It's lost weekends and all-nighters, missed concerts at your kids' school, missed doctor's appointments and teacher conferences and baseball games. And if you love somebody who's on the job, if your husband or your wife is on patrol, if your mom or your dad is on a stakeout, if your sister or your brother or your friend is making an undercover buy, you bear burdens and worries and sleepless nights that others just can't fully understand or appreciate. When I'm out at night, my wife and kids ask me when I will be home. They never ask if I will be home. And as if we could forget, we have seen way too much lately, and the rabbi talked about this, that we sometimes pay a terrible price for our safety and security. Officers Liu and Ramos in New York in December, Officer Wilson in Philadelphia, Deputy Marshal Josie Wells in Alabama. Just last Tuesday, 2 cops, a patrol officer in San Jose, California, and a state trooper in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. 32 line of duty deaths already this calendar year, 6 by gunfire. We owe those people our respect. Their courage, their patriotism, and their service has made all of us stronger and safer, as does every law enforcement officer in this room and all of your colleagues. I am always proud to stand before and among you. But that's not all, honestly, that we should be proud of. Right here in South Jersey, you all are doing some amazing things to meet the challenges of policing in the 21st century. Let me give you an example. We always preach that we work best and are most effective when we work together at all levels of law enforcement. But in my 30 years of experience on both sides, did a little defense work for a while, but almost all in government, I have never seen a better model of what we're doing than what we're doing now in Camden, what we call C4, the Camden County Crime Collaborative. Every federal, state, county, and local law enforcement agency responsible for combating drug trafficking, gang activity, and violent crime in Camden has assigned personnel, including agents, cops, intelligence analysts, and prosecutors, to work out of a single location in the city. It's not a task force where individual departments are assigning people to work for the DEA, for the FBI, which is our typical model. No, this is different. Every morning at 10 o'clock in a meeting that has become known as the huddle, senior supervisors of all of those agencies share real-time information about homicides, shootings, and most important, the details of ongoing criminal investigations. And those of you who are in law enforcement and have been in law enforcement for years know how hard it is to get us all to share our toys. It's hard. It's about trust. The kind of information that's being exchanged at the huddle and the trust among the agencies is extraordinary. And this kind of cooperation and collaboration is truly unprecedented. Not only is there nothing like it anywhere else in New Jersey, but I am in contact with all 93 of my colleagues who are U.S. attorneys. There is not a similar program that I know of anywhere else in the country. It is smart, creative law enforcement, and a lot of people in this room get enormous credit for making it such a model. Ray Massey, a former captain on the Camden Police Force, is my office's primary liaison with state and local law enforcement in South Jersey, and almost everybody in this room probably knows Ray. He's sitting right over there. He has been so much more for this program. He is the glue that helps C4 stick together. And it wouldn't be right if I also didn't give a shout out to my incredibly good friend, Chief Scott Thompson, and to Mary Colillo, the new Camden County prosecutor, for the work and support that we're getting from their departments to do this. It is really an extraordinary effort. In fact, it's so good that 20 of my colleagues from around the country will be coming here to take a peek in late May. Maybe, Scotty, we can eliminate all the crime in Camden by the time they show up after Memorial Day weekend. Let me give you a couple quick examples. Just a couple of weeks ago, with ATF as the lead agency, but with huge support from everybody else, we arrested 10 defendants and took 82 guns off the street. We have a case involving someone named Tyrone Tyson, an informant for the county, and there was an informant for the county who ended up working on a federal case. No, I won't give you the informant, but here, we will share this informant with you, and a case we took down recently with a wiretap being run out of that location. We heard what we thought on the wiretap sounded like someone talking about having committed a murder. Turns out that's what it was. The undercover, who was already into the bad guys, then bought the gun that the bad guy used on the homicide in an undercover purchase. Think about that. an undercover cop buying the weapon used just a few days before for a homicide. That kind of work is the result of cooperation among the FBI, the DEA, the New Jersey State Police, ATF, the Marshals, the Camden County Police Department, the Prosecutor's Office. I won't mention the name of the undercover, but it was an extraordinary thing, and he worked for the Prosecutor's Office. We've done a huge number of home invasion cases in South Jersey using an incredible undercover from Gloucester County. And again, I'm not sure I should mention his name in public, so I won't, but his work in those cases that we've done with ATF are about as dangerous as anything I've ever heard of. Meeting in enclosed cars with predicated armed robbers who have expressed little or no hesitance about the violence they are willing to use to rob a stash house. Incredibly good results. And not just in the Camden and Gloucester County area. In South Jersey and Atlantic City, we did the case involving a group called the Dirty Block. It's a terrific example of federal, county, and state partnership to clean up one of the most violent housing projects around, and it's worked. We've convicted a slew of members of that gang, and more important, we've given the community in that housing project in the back Maryland section of Atlantic City a real opportunity to reclaim their common space. There are kids playing outside for the first time in I don't know how many years with grown-ups comfortably watching. That's what law enforcement should be about. And that kind of cooperation is not an aberration. I think it's fair to say that every significant violent crime or narcotics investigation in South Jersey in the last few years has been made because we were able to marry the expertise of local or county law enforcement with our resources at the federal level, not just in narcotics, violent crime, and even in white-collar crime. Now, that kind of innovation and creativity hasn't just been limited to the pure enforcement side. We've been trying to do a lot more with lots of people in this room on the prevention side. About a year and a half ago, with the support of my office, the Justice Department's Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, OJJDP as it's known, awarded Camden roughly a $1.4 million community-based violence prevention demonstration program grant to implement a public health-based violence reduction program called Cure for Camden, which uses outreach workers and violence interrupters to target those who are threatening 4 of Camden's most challenged neighborhoods: Cooper Landing, Liberty Park, Whitman Park, and Centerville. Another $250,000 for the National Forum on Youth Violence Prevention to support the Mayor's Task Force on Youth Violence Prevention. And recently, one of 5 cities in the country designated by my bosses at the Department of Justice in Washington as a city in the Violence Reduction Network, which takes all of the resources of the Department of Justice, agencies that you can imagine don't always talk to each other about what they're doing, and bring them together in one place at one time to help give Camden and the people who are working in and around Camden the resources they need to try to leverage the enforcement side and the prevention side. It's an incredible thing. Enforcement, prevention, but that's not all we're doing. It's not an easy time, as you all know, to be a cop. It's not an easy time at all to run a police department. As budgets have tightened, we've all tried to do more with less, almost a cliche now. All over New Jersey, we and our law enforcement partners have done that. We have really stepped up to thwart terrorist plots, stop corrupt public officials, cripple cyber thieves who are stealing our most valuable information, holding corporations accountable and locked up white-collar criminals. We've taken guns and drugs off the streets. We've stopped producers and traders of images of sexually abused children, and we're protecting our environment. Every day, I see people making incredibly great cases all over New Jersey. But at a certain point, we can only do less with less. Even the most resilient of us are not immune from the constant stress of budget cuts, shutdowns, furloughs, and layoffs. In today's economy, this has been the reality for all of us in law enforcement, and that's a challenge. But that's not the only challenge. Over the last several months in particular, we have seen across the country what happens when the police and the community lose touch with one another. It's not because of particular incidents. The incidents are bad. The response to incidents has sometimes been disproportionate. But what matters is the underlying issue, that there is a divide in many communities between the cops and the community. Not because of ill intent, but simply because people are not talking to each other and listening to each other necessarily in the right way. We need to know as law enforcement that no matter what community we live in, where we were born, what we look like, or what we believe, that the people who are protecting us, the people who are doing the protecting, are doing that incredibly important work while still fully respecting our rights under the Constitution. And that's an incredible thing for the leaders in this room to lead about. That's our jobs. We can do that in lots of different ways. In the extreme cases, like in Ferguson and in Newark, sometimes police departments need some systemic reform. Things fester over time and they get worse with the lack of money and the lack of training, and a divide arises. And so as many of you know, a few years ago, we began an investigation to whether the Newark police had engaged in a pattern or practice of unconstitutional policing. During that investigation, we met and spoke with members of the force at every level: union representatives, other law enforcement agencies, community members, elected representatives, union reps, and all the command staff. We reviewed a lot of stuff, and we learned what we already knew to be true. Most of the men in uniform, the overwhelming, vast majority of the men and women who put on the uniform of the Newark Police Department every day, bring enormous dedication and integrity to their jobs. But we also found that the organization is challenged in fundamental ways and that it needs some systemic reform: better training, better internal affairs, better resources, and really a change in the way they police. Part of it is that the city of Newark used to have 1,600 cops. Now, 1,000. And I don't have to tell anybody in this room that if you only have 1,000 people to do the jobs that 1,600 people used to do, you can't do it the same effective way. So, but some of the things that are going to come out of that are things that people in this room are already doing. Things that people in this room, as leaders of 21st century policing, are already doing. So, for example, the consent decree in that case is going to call for a new model of community policing in Newark. Chief Wachter, who is one of your honorees this morning, knows exactly what I'm talking about, because in January, I'm sorry, I skipped ahead, I'm sorry. One of the things that you're doing here, one of the things the consent decree is going to ask for, is going to require, are body cameras. Now, there's some controversy about how to use body cameras, but in Plainsboro, Chief Wachter and the city and the town of Paulsboro have been real pioneers with a new program of body cameras. Nobody ordered them to do it, and it wasn't an idea that was planted because of what happened in other places around the country. They were already testing it. And even though the federal government is purchasing that sorts of stuff all over the country, that's not what happened in Paulsboro. Why? Because Chief Wachter and the mayor and council get it. They may be the first in Gloucester County, but I guarantee you they won't be the last. In North Jersey, the mayors of Newark, Patterson, and Jersey City have now done a group buying program. And everybody is starting to recognize the benefits. It actually reduces crime and increases officer effectiveness. Another example, community policing. It's hardly a new idea. When I worked in Washington for Attorney General Janet Reno 20 years ago, the Clinton administration started the COPS office to help fund and train people to do community policing. But budgets got tight, bodies got short, and cops on the beat went by the boards. But look what's happening right now in South Jersey. Again, look at your honorees. Chief Winters of Pine Hill, although it sounded to me more like Colorado than South Jersey. Chief Winters, another honoree, totally gets that cops riding around in their cars can't build the kinds of relationships that are so essential to the kind of community trust we're talking about. Urging his force, and I saw many of them are in the room, and maybe requiring them just a little bit, but encouraging them to build partnerships with schools and the kids who fill them, with mental health and addiction professionals and the people they treat, and with businesses and homeowners who pay their taxes and want nothing more than a safe place to raise their kids. Chief Winters understands that we are more effective, we make our communities safer, we are better in law enforcement when we act more like guardians than like soldiers. Sergeant Fine gets it. The really vibrant and robust chaplaincy program that he champions in Burlington City is having a profound and positive effect. Whether he's helping to feed the hungry by stocking the food pantries, or delivering Thanksgiving dinners, registering bicycles and chatting with kids on the playground, or hosting group discussions to help people in the community understand what events around the country really mean and what we can and what we can't and what we will and what we won't do in law enforcement. He really understands that he can make a street, a neighborhood, a city safer one encounter at a time. And what can I say about my good friend Scott Thompson and the incredible work of his entire force who you're going to talk about today. Because of you, Scotty, and your tremendously talented Ops Bureau, the crime rate in Camden has been dropping so dramatically that people from Whitman Park to the White House are noticing. More officers are walking the beat, patrolling neighborhoods on bikes, and making real and hopefully lasting connections with the people they protect and serve. The fact that you are building a force that is so diverse and reflects more and more who lives in the neighborhoods you protect will help establish and maintain that trust. If I'm not mistaken, I think the Camden Police Department can now communicate with in at least a dozen languages with people in the city of Camden. You all understand that it isn't just about the fact that you keep people safe. It's about how you keep people safe. Always conscious of the civil liberties you are sworn to defend and the trust of the people you protect. It's exactly what the rabbi was talking about this morning in his Devar Torah when he was talking about what that biblical passage means. We have to do things consistent with the value, the high moral values that God teaches us. You all understand that for people in your communities, you, me, each of us in law enforcement is an ambassador. For many, their interaction with the police is the closest contact they will ever have with their government. It is on you and on us, all of us in law enforcement, to do that in a professional and positive light. We have to be that much better. We have to have skin that's that much thicker. We need to be that much more resistant to the temptations that are around us. Everything we do, the way we handle every encounter reflects not just on us, but on every one of our colleagues in law enforcement. Now, I'm no fool. Well, to my 13-year-old son, I'm a fool. But I'm no fool. I get that none of the approaches that we're talking about, coordinated law enforcement, robust and integrated prevention efforts, and real community policing, by themselves or even all together, will be a panacea. We won't be crime-free tomorrow, and there is still enormous work to be done. We need to look hard at the root causes of crime. We need to address inequalities in education, housing, and opportunity. We need to make sure that we in law enforcement are constantly looking inward, examining ourselves and holding ourselves to the highest standards. And we need to constantly be reevaluating the criminal justice system in which we function, guarding against intentional and unintentional ways in which it fails to live up to our highest ideals. As I said before, throughout my career, I have been lucky and privileged to work with law enforcement officers at every level of government, local, county, state, and federal. At every turn, I have been moved by the willingness of the New Jersey law enforcement community, the one I know best, to stand against those who won't or can't abide by the laws of our society, particularly those who commit crimes of violence. You have made it your life's work, your chosen career to help to keep our community safe. And I know we have serious challenges. But when I look around the room, I see the people I know and some that I don't. I see your commitment. I see your dedication. I see your passion. I see your expertise. I see your talent. And mostly, I see your enthusiasm. And with all of that, I am optimistic that together, but only together, we can make a real difference. You are the leaders of the law enforcement community in this part of the state. You have done remarkable work. We have much more to do, and I look forward to doing it together with all of you. Thank you for everything that you do, and thank you for inviting me to be here with you.
Mr. Fishman, thank you very much. Inspiring speech. One of the things that you said was very impressive to me. Well, many of the things you said were very impressive to me. But basically you said you're proud to say you work for the United States government, you worked for the Department of Justice. Many of the people in this room are proud to say they work for Gloucester Township, Camden, all the other townships, Cherry Hill. I used to work for the federal government too, and I'm proud to say that. But when you said that, I was thinking of back in 9/11, when I was standing about 4 blocks away from the World Trade Center, watching them come down. Wouldn't it be fantastic if we had coordination at that time between the FBI, the Attorney General, all the other great abbreviations that we keep throwing out? But it sounds like we're doing it now, and that's important to keep it up. So thank you for your effort. And again, another round of applause for Mr. Fishman. Okay, we've come to the point that I'm sure you're all waiting for, the awards session. Basically, what I'm going to ask is the specific people to come up here, present the awards, and then the awardee and the award presenter, please remain standing up here for picture's sake. So, let's get started. Let me call up Freeholder Deputy Director Ed McDonald. Please come up. We'll present the first award, and I'm not going to say the names, even though you already know who it is. Okay. It's your privilege. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for that rousing applause. Just kidding. I've asked our great warden in Camden County, David Owens, to join me up here today for this presentation. David, as you know, is a former Man of the Year honoree by this organization, so I thought it's appropriate David be here. So I also, if you wouldn't mind, just 1 second introducing a couple of my colleagues who are here. Let me begin with my fellow freeholder, great freeholder in Camden County, Michelle Gentek. Michelle. And our county administrator in Camden County, Ross Angelella. Ross. And our deputy county administrator, Holly Cass. Holly. Well, I'm here, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, to introduce and to present the award to our good friend Scott Thompson. But before I started, I really wanted to just take a moment to tell you about how lucky we've been in Camden County. Government, as you know, is not easy, and trying to make things work day in and day out presents enormous obstacles. But every once in a while, you come to believe in miracles. And in Camden County, over the last year or two, I really feel like we've been beneficiaries of a miracle. Here is what's happened to us in Camden County. Scott Thompson became the chief of our new Camden County Police Department. Deborah Silverman Katz became the assignment judge in Camden County. David Owens returned to us as the warden of the Camden County Jail. And Mary Collalillo became our Camden County prosecutor. I cannot imagine a more powerful, a more compassionate, or a more commitment group of people to serve law enforcement in Camden County. And I'd appreciate if you could give all of those folks a great round of applause. So when we talk about the U.S. Attorney said lots of what I would have said about what Scott Thompson has done in the city of Camden with respect to turning around that community. He has quantitatively changed the quality of life in Camden City for thousands of mothers and fathers and children and families. It is a quantifiably different place to be if you walk the streets of Camden, and he's done it, as the U.S. Attorney mentioned, not with nightsticks, but with a tremendous partnership that he has established, he and his officers have established with the community. People are now outside, little kids riding their bikes. People are having barbecues in their backyards. Families are sitting on the front steps and walking the streets. Now, for all of us who live in suburban towns, that sounds like, well, what's the big deal? It is a huge deal. It is a quality of life that has not been seen in the city of Camden for probably 40 or 50 years. It is to us on the Freeholder Board and those in government, it is a miraculous thing and something for which we are so grateful to Scott. Needless to say, Scott has not done this alone. He has done it with Mary Collalillo. He's done it with our sheriff. He's done it with our warden. He's done it with the assignment judge and so many others who make law enforcement work in Camden County. But there has to be a leader, particularly in the city of Camden, and that has been Scott Thompson. Scott, as you know, has become somewhat of a celebrity lately. I actually saw him on Face the Nation one day. I was in the morning, I was looking at my TV and I was walking and I looked, is that Scott Thompson with Bob Schaefer? And sure enough, it was. And if you watch that show, there were people who commented, various police officers and personnel, and no one had better comments than Scott did, all about quality of life, all about making the city better. It's not a matter of being warriors, as the U.S. Attorney said. It is a matter of being partners with the people. And the change that has happened in Camden because of Scott is enormous. One thing I love so much about Scott is that he remained so humble. He's been in the Oval Office more times than Lyndon Johnson lately, but he is as humble as he was the day I met him. And that humility comes across to the people. Scott not only talks a good game, he not only makes community policing work, Scott actually is the godfather of several children in the city of Camden. He is a great, great person. It's my honor, along with David, to present him with this award. Please give a great hand to Scott Thompson.
Freeholder, thank you so much for the kind words. I get far too much credit. I got to tell you, I asked the captain of operations, and many of the leaders are here today, and there's many more that are out in the field doing the work right now. But the way that they've been able to transform the organization has not been a model of go do it. It's been follow me. And that's in large part been done by the men and women underneath me. Let's face it, at the end of the day, I'm a guy that points to a location on the map, and everybody else finds us a way to get there. And today is actually Captain Dieter Tunsel's last full day of service as a Camden County police officer after 25 years of service and being one of the most influential people in helping to establish a culture that's enabled us to cut murders and shootings in half. I will be forever in your debt, Captain, and for the other men and women of this organization. So thank you for this award. This is a tribute to you and to the good folks that are at that table and to the folks that are out on the street and to the law enforcement partners, prosecutor, U.S. Attorney. Thank you. Because of the efforts and the combined partnership that we now speak on a level that we've never spoken at before. Chief Earl, Chief Winters, Chief Bordy, the chiefs of Camden County, Burlington County. I got a phone call from my friend from Palmyra the other day. Less mothers are burying their children. And it doesn't get any more realer than that. Thank you. It's an honor.
Next presenter is going to be Burlington County PCA President, Chief Scott Perlman. Please come up. You can applaud him.
Every year, the county chiefs in Burlington, Camden, and Gloucester were asked to try to come up with a nominee for an award here. Sometimes we have a problem, sometimes in a very hard time, and this time in our county we really didn't. In 2004, the City of Burlington Police Department introduced their chaplain program. In 2010, Sergeant John Fine was assigned to take over the chaplain program. And with that, he had ideas on how he was going to change the chaplains program and community policing effort within the city. Burlington City, if you're not familiar with it, is very diverse in the races, religions, and the practices that go on in that town every day. Their police chaplains work with officers in a reaction-based theory, helping with death notifications, coming into the patrol squads and speaking with officers, and being called in the time of local crisis or emergency. The police chaplains work with their station house adjustment program with the juveniles, trying to make sure that they're not entered into the court system and to attempt to find the root cause for their problem. Sergeant Fine looked to take this program and expand it even larger. In 2010, they did a kickoff to start his vision as they move forward with their Operation Helping Neighbors, with donations of a trailer and the assistance of the Sisterhood Incorporated, the Fraternal Order of Police, the City of Burlington, and the Burlington County Sheriff's Department. They started a fund drive, filled a whole trailer load of food, which went to 2 food pantries within the City of Burlington. The other initiative that he started, which still goes on to this day in 2010, is the initiative of Thanksgiving dinner baskets to families in need. They get the names from their officers on the street because of the communication that they have with their officers and their residents as to who is in need and who will benefit from these meals. On Thanksgiving morning, uniformed officers, along with the clergy, deliver those baskets to the houses and the people in need. In 2012, 4 police chaplains and 4 police officers attended training with the Citizens of Police Survivors. They dealt with traumas in law enforcement, and the course was designed to enhance awareness of officers killed in the line of duty, along with current mental health issues facing law enforcement, and to help their chaplains work with their officers in their daily lives. Another initiative that they did to work together with the chaplains to move forward and to get them into more community policing and involved with their residents was a bicycle registration program. They did this with the assistance of our County Sheriff's Department and Burlington City's Recreation Department. The police chaplains and officers went to different playgrounds within the city, registering bikes and speaking with residents on what their issues are within the city. In 2004, John was working with the chaplains on new ideas when the country's attention moved to Ferguson, Missouri. Not only did Sergeant Fine pay attention to the developments, but quick communication with their police chaplains was being done on how not only to understand what was happening, but how to better address this issue within the city of Burlington. Within weeks of Ferguson, an emergency meeting was held with the police chaplains and a game plan was formed to enhance communication with their community. They held their first community workshop with local government and elected officials, police chaplains, and local community leaders. It was during this workshop that Burlington City's use of force policy was discussed through a presentation on what happens if an officer utilizes deadly force within their city. They also discussed officers' equipment to help denote the militarization of police. They discussed the equipment that they carry, the patrol rifles and ballistic shields, and the need for these tools. Also in this presentation, they discussed the demographics and the race makeup of the city and to encourage open dialogue and to help break down any barriers that the community may have. The second part of their workshop included an opportunity that members of the community openly voice their views or questions on race relations in dealing with the city police department. The day after their first community workshop, police chaplains went on foot with patrol officers within their community, visiting the Riverfront and Business District, and attempting to do as much outreach as possible with the city. As they move into 2015, they have 2 more community workshops planned to open more dialogue between their police department, their chaplains, and the city. In addition to community workshops, the City of Burlington hosted its first formal police chaplain certification course in December 2014. The 2-day course was attended by several police chaplains and police officers from local and state agencies. More courses are being hosted in April and May of this year, and Sergeant Fine was able to secure all the funding, the facilities, and resources to hold these events. Their most recent success was a donation of over 150 sets of shoulder pads for their football team. The City of Burlington, their police chaplain program is currently staffed by 8 active chaplains, made up of 7 of the Christian faith and 1 rabbi. This goes a long way to the community policing in Burlington City, and a lot of it is to the efforts of Sergeant Fine. And with that, our county has nominated and recognized Sergeant John Fine for his work.
Okay, the next presenter is going to be Harry Earl. Please come to this podium, please.
I'm joined here today with, of course, as you know, Chief Mark Cavallo, President of the Camden County Chiefs of Police Association. And we, as an association, we nominated Chief Winters for this award, and I'm certainly glad that he received this honoree today. You know, in the early part of 2014, a resident from Gloucester Township contacted me, and she said that her son had died from a drug overdose. And she said, there's this new medication that people can carry and police officers can carry, and I wonder if we could ever have that in Gloucester Township. And I said to her, I said, yes, I think that we can. I said, but we can even do better than that. We need to see that in every community in Camden County. Because in 2013, nearly 150 people died from a drug overdose right here in Camden County. So I brought that information to the Camden County Chiefs of Police Association, and Chief Winter volunteered to lead that effort. So in a short period of time, in 5 to 6 months, Chief Winters did the research, gathered information, created a buying group to receive a reduced price, and then coordinated the training of police departments all throughout Camden County. And then the medication was then given to all the police departments in Camden County just in the beginning of May. And then from May through February, 1,200 doses of that antidote were given out to police departments all across Camden County. And what's amazing about that is, out of those 1,200, 130 people were given that medication in that short period of time. And out of those 130 people that were giving that medication by police officers, 126 were saved. A 97% success rate because of the work that Chief Winters had done. So I applaud him for that work, but his work didn't stop there. You know, Chief Winters' commitment to really everything that we do as far as the police department and his community policing efforts, which we heard certainly the U.S. Attorney speak of today with his efforts in focusing on stopping in schools and working with the community. But Chief Winters goes beyond that as well. And is he engaged, and he's so committed to this issue of mental illness and substance abuse that he went far beyond even making sure police officers were equipped with naloxone. Chief Winters is also on the board of directors for the Mental Health Association of Southwestern New Jersey, and also represents the law enforcement on the policy and governance subcommittee of that same organization. Chief Winters participates with the Mental Health Association because of his commitment and dedication to the Crisis Intervention Team. The Crisis Intervention Team program provides comprehensive training for police officers on how to deal with those who are mentally ill or suffering from an emotional breakdown. Chief Winters assured that all the members of the Pine Hill Police Department are trained in that extensive program. Chief Winters is a member of the Camden County College Police Academy Advisory Board, where he represents the interests of fellow chiefs of police, including his advocacy for the Mental Health Association. Chief Winters continues to fight against drug abuse well beyond the deployment of naloxone in Camden County. He is the Municipal Alliance Coordinator for the Borough of Pine Hill, where he manages many substance abuse programs for those residents. Chief Winters also serves on the Camden County Addiction Awareness Task Force, where he provides guidance regarding issues of substance abuse throughout the entire county. Chief Winters' influence has gone well beyond the borders of Pine Hill and has extended its reach to all parts of Camden County. I think what's most remarkable as well is he's following in many footsteps and in a partner as well, even in his family. His father here today is retired Chief of Police Larry Winters of the Berlin Police Department. And Chief also has a partner in fighting crime as well with his wife, Lieutenant Amy Winters of the Cherry Hill Police Department. I sum it up with Chief Winters this way, that earlier this morning, we heard Rabbi Gans speak during the blessing that we take nothing for granted. And I will tell you that I spend a lot of time with Chief Winters, and he is a chief of police, he is a man, and he is a father, and he is a son who has taken nothing for granted and gives 110% every day, and I congratulate him.
Okay, could Gloucester County Prosecutor Dalton, Camden County Prosecutor Colina, Burlington County Prosecutor Bernardi, Salem County Prosecutor, names crossed off here a little bit, Lenson, please come up here. Lenahan, please come up here. What we're doing is getting ready for the special award being presented for 2015. Usually one awardee is selected from all the law enforcement agencies throughout New Jersey, Philadelphia area. And this is the award that we're going to be presenting now. Okay, Gloucester County Chief Association President Bob Zimmerman.
Thank you very much. It's a distinct honor and privilege to recognize not only a very good friend of mine, but an esteemed colleague, Chris Wachter from Paulsboro PD. So Chris, if you could come up, please. I also wanted to recognize his lovely wife, Diane, of 24 years, who's sitting over here in the front table, along with his two children, Sarah and Kyle, son Kyle. When we sat down and we discussed this award in Gloucester County, Chris was the only name that came up, the first and the only name that came up, and he's definitely the most deserving. This is the Special Recognition Award, and it's for recognition for his outstanding dedication, leadership, and professionalism while working to provide a safe environment for all citizens, regardless of their age, or race, religion, and ethnic background. Chris exemplifies the model of a police officer and certainly a police chief. Just to give you a little bit of background about Chris, he spent 31 years in law enforcement, graduating from the Camden County Police Academy in 1984. I didn't realize Chris was that old. I was still in high school in '84. But anyway, he worked as a patrolman for the Borough of National Park from 1984 until he was hired as a patrolman in Paulsboro in 1989. During his career in Paulsboro, he moved through the ranks, was promoted to sergeant in 1995, to detective sergeant in 2002, to lieutenant in 2004, and was promoted to his current position of chief of police in 2011. I think what makes this award even more special for Chris is he'll be retiring in the fall of this year with 31 years of service. Chris is a humble guy. I asked him yesterday to give me some highlights in his career, and reluctantly he did so. He's probably very embarrassed standing up here. He's just a humble guy, but I got to tell you, one of the hardest working, most well-rounded individual police officers that you'll find in all our counties. Chris said that serving as a president of Gloucester County Police Chiefs Association was one of his most memorable moments throughout his career. He was a treasurer of PBA Local 122 for 21 years, from 1990 to 2010. He was Paulsboro Police Department's first DARE officer, starting in 1992, and he taught 9 years until 2001. While working and raising a family, Chris earned both his bachelor's degree in 2006 and a master's degree in 2009 from University of Phoenix. He earned a certified public manager's certification from Fairleigh Dickinson in 2008. When we asked for nominations, I reached out to Deputy Chief Vernon Marino of the Paulsboro Police Department, and I asked Chief Marino if he could give me a summarization of what Chris is all about. And again, this is just a soundbite of this gentleman to the right of me's 31-year career. But I think it really kind of outlines and gives you an example of what type of chief of police Chris Wachter is. Touches on a couple of the things that he's done over the last 3 or 4 years as chief, but I'm sure there's many others that aren't highlighted here. But I'd like to take a minute, if you don't mind, and read the nomination letter by Deputy Chief Marino. Chief Wachter, realizing a need to change the ways in which the police department responded to and addressed specific quality of life issues, implemented a new response strategy that was designed to address crime, criminal behavior, social issues, and transparency with the Borough of Paulsboro through sustained and proactive enforcement. Further, this would instill a higher level of commitment between our officers and those residents that so desperately needed a voice. The Chief's purpose was to provide high visibility, proactive police presence within our community in order to bring back stability to our neighborhoods and to ensure that all our residents have the opportunity to thrive in a criminal-free environment. Chief Wachter's goal of this strategic response plan was to use community outreach, cultivation of stakeholders, community events, and enforcement as a designed approach to respond to violations of state law, borough ordinances, and code violations which are widely accepted as having a direct and negative impact upon the quality of life for our borough residents. The strategic response plan was achieved through high police visibility and increased proactive and aggressive enforcement through motor vehicle summonses, criminal arrests, borough ordinances, special complaints, warning summonses, and the service of outstanding court warrants on those individuals who are deemed to be violating the law and adversely affecting the serenity of our neighborhoods as a result of their lawless behavior and actions. In January 2014, Chief Wachter led the department embarking on a new community policing project titled Coffee with a Cop. The nationally recognized program is designed to connect police officers with their community in an informal, neutral setting to discuss issues of concerns while building relationships and share ideas all over a cup of coffee. The idea is to remove the physical barriers and reopen the lines of communication between rank and file officers and the residents they serve in the hope of building partnerships and engage in a new problem-solving approaches to crime and criminal behavior in a non-threatening way. Many law enforcement agencies have already participated in this program, and given their success, Chief Wachter decided to bring the concept to our community in hopes of rebuilding community trust and addressing crime and criminal behavior in Paulsboro from a completely different perspective. Since its inception, we have held several more Coffee with a Cop events with total success. The feedback has been so overwhelming, we have taken the opportunity to devolve Ice Cream with a Cop to attract young people. The approach also allowed the youth a voice with our officers while breaking down walls that may have been real or perceived. Moreover, Chief Wachter, seeing the benefits from this new late approach, wanted to take it even further to exemplify the department's commitment to transparency within our community. In August 2014, Chief Wachter, again the first in Gloucester County, put forth the concept to purchase body-worn cameras for our department. He knew just how vitally important it would be to take that next step to build a continued trust between our community and the department. Chief Wachter felt that as a profession, law enforcement was at a critical stage in time where the public was demanding a higher level of police officer accountability and transparency. He believed that by taking this step forward with a camera program, we would be in an optimum position to provide a higher level of accountability and transparency for our officers. He also believed that this would be achieved by separating out the true complaints of an alleged officer misconduct from the myths, rumors, or misinformation from a camera program would achieve. Chief Wachter believed that the camera program would also have the ability to help us work towards restoring our residents' faith and trust in its police department, its officers, and its administration. Chief Wachter drove home the fact that officers must understand their role as police officers to serve and protect the community. And to that end, officers had to alter their own perceptions of what the true purpose of community policing is, altering from the view of merely the act of interacting with residents to a philosophy that would build stakeholders through trust, commitment, and actively engaging residents in a positive and professional manner that would open lines of communication and develop the opportunity to interact, communicate with our residents in a way that promotes the concept of developing potential intelligence about crime and criminal leads. Chief Wachter reminds officers daily that it is their behavior, responsibility to treat each person they encounter or come into contact with dignity, respect, fairness, regardless of the individual's demeanor or language directed at them or the department. This meant officers must remain professional, calm, courteous, emotionally in control, and to be respectful at all times. That complacency and the status quo no longer would be accepted, and outdated belief structures will no longer be tolerated. The phrase "to serve and protect" are not merely just words written in policy or directive. They are the foundation for belief that we, the police department, are here to protect and serve those who employ us, and it shall be our personal and professional duty and responsibility to work diligently and deliberately to provide our residents with not only the high level of quality police services, but also to treat our residents fairly and with respect as we work to provide them with the opportunity to thrive in a crime-free environment. Again, it's a distinct pleasure to recognize Chief Wachter with this award. He's certainly deserving. I've said it before, he exemplifies what a chief of police should be. He's a role model for all of us. I want to congratulate him on this award and wish him the best of luck and success in his retirement.
Okay, one more round of applause for all the award recipients as well as their supervisors and managers. Okay, that concludes the awards sections of our presentations. However, don't leave, because you know we have the 50-50. I'd like to call up Dawn Reagan from the Camden County Hero Scholarship Fund, Marcia Barak from JCRC, Vice President, Goodwin Holocaust Education Center, and also Ed Stein from the South Jersey Jewish War South Jersey. I'm asking Dawn from the Camden County Hero Scholarship Fund to actually say a few words about the fund.
Good morning, everyone. I just want to thank Mike Perloff and the committee for putting today's event together. It's nice to see law enforcement recognized in a positive aspect. For those of you that don't know, the Hero Scholarship Fund provides financial and educational assistance to the families of Camden County's police, fire, and EMS killed in the line of duty. So thank you so much. Without further ado, I want to let everybody get out of here. So
thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Marcia, could you say a few words?
Yes, I can. Okay, good morning. I'm one of the vice presidents of the Jewish Community Relations Council, and I'm actually speaking on behalf of Carol Orwitz, who's another vice president, as well as the chair of the Goodwin Holocaust Museum and Education Steering Committee. On behalf of the JCRC and GHMEC, I'm honored to accept your generous donation, and thank you for choosing us to share the proceeds of today's raffle. The Goodwin Holocaust Museum and Education Center, also known as the GHMEC, a department of the Jewish Community Relations Council, is involved throughout the year in the New Jersey government-mandated Holocaust education for kindergarten through 12th grade. It offers activities and programs designed for people of all faiths and backgrounds. And some examples of these programs that we offer are guest reader programs for elementary school students on bullying and tolerance, speaker programs made up of survivors, children and grandchildren of survivors, and concentration camp liberators, and tours, films, theatrical productions, as well as video conferences which reach students all over New Jersey, the United States, and Canada. And through the lessons of the Holocaust, the GHMEC works to eliminate prejudice, bigotry, and hatred from our community. It serves as a resource for students, educators, and the community at large, and brings people together in an effort to build mutual respect and understanding. And if anyone in this room is interested in any tour, in a tour of the museum, for you, your departments, please contact the JCRC. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to change the agenda a little bit. I'll allow Rabbi David to actually do the benediction at this time.
This benediction is brief. Let us all rise. Actually, these are words to take with you as you go back to our communities, as you go back to your sacred work. These words are familiar, I'm sure, to most of you. They come from the Torah, from the Bible, from the book of Numbers. It's also called the priestly benediction. In Hebrew, it's 15 words. In English, a few more. But there are three parts. One is, the first blessing is about the material. meaning may we be blessed with everything we need to keep life going, but may our possessions, what we have, not begin to possess us. The second blessing is about God's light, and that means knowledge, wisdom, and there's a difference, and understanding, and there's a difference. May we be blessed with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And finally, the third part is about peace. May we find peace in our own heart, our home, our family life, our communities, and our world. And we have to do our part, each and every one of us, to bring that kind of peaceful world about. So the 15 words, 3, 5, and 7, Hebrew and English. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you and protect you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. May God let God's light shine on you and be kind to you. Yisad Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God lift up God's face upon you always and give you peace. And we say, Amen, and we say, be careful out there.
Please be seated. Ed wants to say something.
We're gonna do the 50-50 real quick. We collected $600. It'll be $300 split among the winners, the other $300 to the charities. The first ticket is going to be 20%, which is $60. Rabbi?
Okay, 20%.
Here we go. You want to go ahead?
The number?
You go ahead.
744-238. 744-238.
Anybody? Harry?
Okay,
Oh,
pick
boy.
the next one real quick.
Next one, Rabbi? It's going to be donated back to the charities, the first
Don
one.
is the president of Southwestern Network.
This is 744-260.
That's $90.
That was, again, $90. Okay, never mind. Another one still.
Another winner for the charity. Thank you. Last one is $150.
Okay, 744-202.
Donate the money.
Thank you all for donating the money. Please rise for the retirement of the colors. Please rise for retirement of the colors.
Forward. Come on. Go left. 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 Right. Go left. Go left. Go left. Go left. Go left. Right. Go left. March time. March. Detail. Hold. Left. Peace. On guard. Retrieve. Colors. Go left. Detail. Hold. On guard. Present. Arms. Order. Arms. On guard. Left. Peace. Forward. Forward. Go left. Go left. Go left. Shoulder, shoulder, right. Shoulder, 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 right. Set. Shoulder, 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 shoulder.
As Rabbi David said, please be safe out there. This is an annual affair, but we're always thinking about you in the Jewish community, and we're here for you. Thank you all for being here.